Hello, my name is Sydney Willoughby. The complex problem that I am analyzing for this presentation is the problem of fast fashion, overproduction, and overconsumption. I believe this is a problem that everyone should be aware of as the effects impact the entire world. Specifically, I think people who make frequent purchases from fast fashion companies should be more aware of what is really happening in the fashion industry. In defining this complex problem, it is important to first note what the term fast fashion means. Fast fashion involves quick response manufacturing methods, cheaper alternatives like polyester and nylon, and cheap labor. Fast fashion is so called partly because the fashion industry now releases new lines every week when historically this happened 4 times a year. Today, fashion brands produce almost twice the amount of clothing that they did in 2000. Fast fashion differs from other types of fashion as it is not made with sustainability in mind, and longevity of the clothing and sustainability in terms of the environment are not factors in the clothing that is produced. In the visual shown here, Matthew Lowe writes that unused fast fashion clothing in Chile's Atacama Desert is shown. This visual really shows the impact that fast fashion has, as the waste that results from this is tangible and immense. Some examples of fast fashion companies include H&M, Zara, and Topshop, amongst others. Fast fashion companies can be identified based off of their operations and practices that they follow. Other fast fashion companies, according to Olivia Lai of Earth.org, include Shein, Mango, and ASOS. Being aware of which companies are fast fashion companies is something that I believe is important for consumers. While it is each person's own decision on who they wish to purchase clothing from, I believe that it is important to be informed when doing so. By spending money on clothing from a company, consumers are financially supporting that company no matter what practices they are engaging in. They are benefiting from each purchase that is made. Overproduction refers to the volume of clothing that is being produced by these fast fashion companies. Fast fashion offers cheap and trendy clothes, but means collections change at lightning speed. 92 million tons of textile waste is created annually by the fashion industry, and shockingly, about 30% of the clothes produced each season are never even sold. These unsold garments are often burned as it is cheaper and easier for the company than finding a way to reuse or recycle them. This demonstrates overproduction because the quantity of clothes that are being produced are not even all made available to consumers. There are so many clothes that are being made constantly that they're not even being listed as viable products and instead are being destroyed. For the brand Zara, it is said that the brand releases an incredible 24 trend-led collections every year, 500 designs a week, and almost 20,000 per year, which in turn leads consumers to see their clothes as disposable and adds to even more waste from the garment industry that ends up in landfills. This is an example of overproduction as 20,000 new designs are being made each year, and this is only looking at one specific company. When thinking of overproduction in terms of all fast fashion brands, it becomes clear that an exorbitant amount of clothing is being produced, an amount that exceeds any demand that there could be for that. Overconsumption means buying more than is necessary. One way to explain overconsumption is to analyze the amount of clothing that a person purchases on average. Richard Vasquez Jr. of FashionRevolution.org states that the number of clothes the average consumer purchases has increased 60% between 2000 and 2014, and the clothes are kept about only half as long. An example of where I've seen this personally with buying more clothing than is actually needed is with the app TikTok, where people will share clothing hauls frequently to show all the new items they have bought. And when this is done in excess, it shows overconsumption as the volume of clothing that is purchased is disproportionate to how much clothing one person may actually need or will use. So in examining how employees are harmed by fast fashion brands, it is said that working conditions are poor, unhygienic, and unsafe since a large number of sweatshops are located in poor nations with weak labor laws and little government control. So a lot of the employees actually are operating out of these sweatshops, and that's what these fast fashion brands rely on in their production. Another aspect of the employment that these fast fashion companies do is they employ child labor, which is often used because it is cheap and widely available due to poverty in many countries, and fast fashion companies take advantage of this because they're trying to produce garments for as cheap as possible. The unhygienic, unsafe conditions that these employees endure as well as the child labor. These all demonstrate the fast fashion companies' desire to have as cheap as possible clothing made available for consumers while cutting every corner they can. And they are solely focused on the profits that they may make from this without regards to their employees. In terms of the environmental effects that result from fast fashion overproduction and overconsumption, it is said that the world consumes nearly 80 billion new pieces of clothing every year. Man-made fibers shed microplastics into water every time they are washed. Throughout the entire fashion supply chain, natural resources are extracted, habitats are exploited, toxic emissions are produced, water is polluted, and waste is carelessly dumped. All of these harmful effects, the microplastics, deforestation, they all contribute to global warming and greenhouse gas emissions. And global warming is a serious, complex issue in itself. And the fast fashion industry needs to undergo change so that it is not contributing to this further. Fast fashion companies aren't only harming their employees, they're also harming everyone. Everyone's health is being harmed as a result of this. And this image shows microplastics with a fish. And those microplastics, they come off of the clothing and they are in everything. They can be found in our lungs, livers, spleens, kidneys, and even in the placenta of newborns. It is believed that such exposure to microplastics can impact fertility, hormones, metabolism, and our neurological systems. And this is one of the effects of fast fashion. So I believe that everyone should care about this complex issue because of the harmful health effects, the harm that is being done to the environment, and the horrible conditions that the employees endure. For who is affected by fast fashion, overconsumption, and overproduction, it really affects everyone in the world. It's not only harmful to those who participate in consuming the products from fast fashion companies or the employees of these companies, but it really is harmful for everyone as these practices damage the environment and leach microplastics. And I just really believe that this is something that everyone should be aware of and know the effects of these practices and why they need to be changed. So some examples that people may reduce fashion pollution are buying less and more durable clothing, choosing slow fashion, so prioritizing buying from brands that put more thought into their products. They make products that are made to last. They don't have high turnover rates and hundreds of new designs every week, and they really are focused on like core collections and having products that are sustainable. Another solution would be to avoid fast fashion companies and support small local businesses instead. Renting clothes that you're only likely to wear once. There are companies that rent clothes out. So instead of having to purchase a new outfit for one event, you can rent it and return it after, and no new clothing had to be purchased for that. Another example of something that can be done to reduce fashion pollution is to buy pre-owned items, swapping clothes with friends, or repairing and upcycling clothes. After learning so much about fast fashion brands and their practices and what they do, I came up with these solutions just after everything I've seen. So I think that one thing that could be done would be to regulate fast fashion companies and their practices, put more regulations on them, let them know that what they're doing is not okay, and try to take legal action. I also think that putting limitations on the volume of clothing they're producing could be one way to tackle this problem. Definitely have requirements for workers' pay, so the payment that they're getting isn't enough right now, and to ensure that they are getting paid like a living wage really would be one way to help with this problem. Another way to help would be incentivizing companies to turn away from fast fashion. So, motivating them to prioritize quality products that are made to last, that aren't harming the environment as much, and try to encourage them to switch from their practices that they have now. And that goes with the next one, and just engaging in sustainable practices and really encouraging that of these companies and showing them why it matters so much and how they can help the environment instead of hurting it. I also think spreading awareness of this problem is part of the solution. Many people may not know. I had known of this problem before, but I didn't. I learned a lot while doing this. So I think just awareness really is a huge part of the solution. Um, and informing consumers of why fast fashion is dangerous and unethical. So, in conclusion, fast fashion, overproduction, and overconsumption is harmful for the environment, harmful to those who are employed by these companies, and harmful to the health of everyone. It is a complex problem that requires action and multiple perspectives to solve.